when they host the Chiefs. It'll be DeAndre Hopkins' debut. We've seen some mixed results for wide receiver debuts. Amari Cooper caught a touchdown in his first game with Josh Allen. Devontae Adams, kind of a quiet game with Aaron Rodgers. So, Nick, are you expecting an instant impact from D-Hop?
So I don't think he'll have a big statistical game, and I don't think he'll, lead the receivers in snaps or routes run. What I do think is he will instantly have a package of plays, and I think he will instantly become the number 2 option on third down. I think number 1 is still going to be Travis Kelce, but he'll be the second guy Patrick looks for, and I thought Rashee Rice was underrated for the vast majority of last year. Seemed like this year people were starting to catch on to how good he was. He wasn't as good as the numbers said he was, though. The numbers said before he got hurt he was the best receiver in football or on the very, very short list. And that was because, in my opinion, of the role he was playing, which is they call it the power slot. Kelce demands attention. Xavier, even if he's not being super productive, it demands a safety over the top, and Rashee could just crush in that role. That's the exact role they're going to ask DeAndre Hopkins to play. He's not going to have the yak stuff Rashee did, but the most reliable hands Mahomes has ever had to throw to. So, yeah, I do think he will. I think he'll have 3 or 4 catches, but they'll be third down would pivotal, be his most important spots.
Yeah, I think that's well said. He'll make that type of impact. Also, though, even if he doesn't have a lot of catches, he's going to draw attention. Just by him being out there, they know, okay, we have to pay attention to D-Hop. And they know he's going to be doing what you said. Now, again, Rashee was taking those little slants and going, 20 yards downfield. Yeah. He's not going to do that. But he takes a little bit of attention off of Travis.
Definitely.
And Noah Gray, I think things could open up for him. We already seen things open up for him. But, yeah, I think in that regard, he has a big impact. And a lot of us think Mahomes is going to have a big game because it's the Raiders, so that could lead to increased numbers for D-Hop.
Yeah, I expect an instant impact, like immediate. You hit a great point about having specific packaged plays for him. And I think that's the part that kind of goes under the radar and how great Andy Reid is and his staff. Like, if you bring a guy in like this, automatically you want to just force feed them the entire playbook. But in order for them to feel comfortable for some sort of plays, you have to dial it down and give them a bite size. Like, this is what we're going to do. And then, because you have a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes who's going to get off script. Now it's backyard football. And 50-50 balls are not 50-50 balls for guys like DeAndre Hopkins. They're more like 70-30. And so for me, when you look at this team, just in the numbers that they put up at the receiver position, they're a little staggering. Ask you guys a question.
Sure.
Who do you believe the leading receiver for this team is?
The Chiefs? Rashee Rice.
Because it's Rashee Rice, but he's not even available. And these are the numbers of the receiving yards of these guys in that locker room right now.
Yeah.
They're not
Noah Gray's a tight end.
Exactly.
So they have one receiver.
Juju, Worthy, and Rice. Look at those numbers. Yeah. Those are the receivers. And so you're asking a guy who can definitely put up numbers, who, as you alluded to, has great hands to come in there. He's going to impact this game. And I think he's going to actually have a big game.
Is he going to know the playbook? It was like a funny moment with Keon Coleman and Amari with Josh. And he was like, I'm going this way. He's like, yeah, run that, like a little post. Is he going to be able to, like, I don't know, what's the ceiling of packages you can run for him?
So I think the biggest thing is getting the communication, the nonverbal communication of the signals and different things like that and certain terminology. And if he gets that, again, like I said, I think the biggest impact he's going to make is going to be in the off script, because now I'm off my route. Patrick Mahomes is trying to uncover. I got to uncover.
It's also, listen, Mahomes is one of the greatest, if not the greatest ever. DeAndre Hopkins, I believe, is going to be a Hall of Famer. And these guys are both something new for the other person. As great as Tyreek was, Mahomes has never had a great receiver with great hands. Right. Tyreek, that's the and as good as Watson was 5 years ago, Nuke's never the Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys at 49ers this weekend. San Francisco growing as a favorite after they heard our takes. This line now at 4.5. Cowboys off a bye. Here's Dak on what the Cowboys worked on this week. Take a listen.
For us, particularly on offense, communication and consistency. It's the best two ways to sum it up. Being consistent on the outside, the playmakers, us in the passing game, and then just communicating up front. I can just tell you, being out there, it's a lot louder on the line of scrimmage. Guys are more confident. That allows the play to start with a whole better vibe and confident beginning.
Okay, Brew, who you got in this one?
Nick thought he was slick on the morning call. He said he predicted, Brew's going to take the Cowboys. He's been hinting at it all week. That's what he said. And I will be honest in that I have thought about that.
Really?
They're coming off a bye. San Francisco is banged up. Obviously, the Cowboys are too, but so are the Niners. And the Cowboys are desperate. However, the Niners are even more desperate. I'm going with San Francisco. I can't, Nick, unsee down 47-9 to the Lions. I can't unsee that, all right? And I get that those teams right now are playing far better than San Francisco. But still, though, going into each of those games, it was like the Cowboys got to prove something or they're desperate. Like, it's a huge game. They got to show up like – they weren't obviously quite as desperate as now just because we're a little later in the season, but those were huge games where it was like they got to show up, and they didn't. And even, you know who's more desperate than Dallas, Nick? The Niners. They'll drop to 3-5. We've talked about their schedule all week. It's going to be hellacious, and so they need a win. And then on top of that, strategically, the Cowboys just have trouble stopping the run, particularly against teams that can really run. And San Francisco's a top 10, top 5 run team, and Dallas is a bottom 5 run defense team. So I think Jordan Mason has a big game. They are able to run the ball, and then that opens up the play action for Purdy, and the Niners win. What will probably be a good game, but I think the Niners win.
I thought there was a chance Brew would pick the Cowboys, but more what I thought was all week, Brew was really trying to prime the audience. Like, hey, man, the Niners are in so banged up and in such rough shape that, you know, if they lose, you can't blame anyone in these spots. Sometimes the team, like, it really felt like it was pre-excuses for the San Francisco 49ers. Here's what I'll tell you. If Micah plays, I think the Cowboys win, but I don't think Micah's going to play.
No, there was a video of him walking okay, I guess.
I mean, he hasn't been ruled out. The Cowboys, so Micah's their best player. Their second best player also hasn't practiced this week, but that's because he's at jury duty, and I got to tell you, I don't like it.
He's just a kicker.
Weirdest story.
I understand he's just the kicker. It doesn't, to me, bode well for a lot of things. Like, and I understand do your civic duty. I get that. I understand this is probably a maybe illegal take, but certainly an unpopular one. I feel like that's not great. And I do worry about Nicky Bosa against the Cowboys rookie left tackle if they line him up over there. I know he normally lines up on the other side, but if they move him around. And the other thing is this. I don't know how much it applies to the Cowboys in this spot, because they had the bye, but every single team that has played the Lions has lost their next game. The Lions, and that continued last night. When you played the Lions beat you twice, really, this year. Now the Cowboys had a bye week, so how much is that going to impact it? So all these things say the Niners win the football game. Why?
I didn't hear one thing. I believe in Brock Purdy.
I didn't hear that from him.
You must believe in Brock Purdy.
You have to.
You picking them to beat Dallas. Dallas coming off a bye week in a desperate situation.
And you believe in Brock Purdy.
Dak's got the best receiver out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not Dak,
what does
not
that
Brock.
do with Brock Purdy? What are you guys talking about?
believe in him.
Brew,
I'm just saying you believe in him. He's the quarterback of the team. You believe in him.
Can I say something real quick?
If you picked it up,
that's not at all how this works. I don't pick the Niners to lose every game they play, first of all. Second of all, Brew gave the keys to the game. Didn't mention Purdy's name a mumbling once.
I said the play's going to open up play action for Brock to cook.
Yeah, well, I don't think Brock's going to cook. I think this will be more what Brew said, the running game being able to cook. And I think Cowboys defense was mediocre to begin with, and at this point is so banged up, I just don't know how they're going to be able to stop the Niners on the ground.
Just as far as bye weeks go,
this was not a restful one.
It wasn't, and we didn't pull this out. Yeah. But both CD and Dak were asked about the tours.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jerry's
we got something.
No, I didn't. I didn't even pull it. I was just chatting about it. Yeah. But I feel like if they, after they're getting humiliated last year and they've lost 2 in a row to Brock, this is going to be a bad loss for the Cowboys. It's going to be a demoralizing loss. Every loss feels bad. I know we say that because we magnify the Cowboys, but every loss has been bad.